I'd like to call to order the Hatfield Township Board of Commissioners regular meeting for April 26, 2023. Roll call.
President Zipfeld.
Here.
Vice President Rogers.
Here.
Commissioner Andrus.
Present.
Lees. Zimmerman.
Here.
It's been the first time in a while since we needed the gavel because there was a murmur of people, so that we're very excited to have people this evening. So let us start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I would like to ask Commissioner Scott Brown and his wife Sandy Brown to please come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh yeah, we're making you come forward on this one. Oh, right in front. Well done. All right, we have a special recognition, obviously, which we're very excited about, but we do have a couple of housekeeping items first. Is there a motion for approval of tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Rogers.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zimmerman. All in favor of approving the agenda before you say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Consent items. Is there a motion to move the consent items into the record?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Andrus.
Second.
Second by Vice President Rogers. Those items include the Board of Commissioners regular meeting minutes of March 22, the Board of Commissioners workshop meeting minutes of April 12, the Treasurer's report of April of this year, and paid bills in the amount of $14,462 and unpaid bills in the amount of $552,802.77. With that, I'll call the question. All in favor of moving those into the record, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing no objection, that is approved. Okay, citizens' comments. Are there any citizens' comments on agenda items? None. So we are going to jump right into why I'm sure the majority, if not all of you, are here tonight. And I'm going to ask if Commissioner Scott Brown and his wife Sandy would join me over at the podium because we would like to roast you a little bit. No. No, there won't be too much of a roasting. There will not be too much of a roasting. And you have a proclamation from us already. So this is a proclamation from when we held your last meeting. So tonight is a little less formal in the sense that when we learned that you were going to move out of Hatfield, not only were we, sad to hear that, but we completely understand. We wanted to bring you in, recognize you more as friends. And so we have hopefully some words that'll be something of a nice recognition for you and a couple of gifts. And so I honestly, I'm looking at Sandy. Sandy's like, I'm not so sure. He might be teasing us. So no, we genuinely mean it. It was a consensus right away that we said, we should do something for the two of you. Now, undoubtedly, being a commissioner, I'll save you for second. Your better half, Sandy, has been an ambassador for our township for many, many years. I'm sure for longer than most of us realize, certainly during the time of your being a commissioner, but more importantly, even afterwards. And so, I was very appreciative, by the way, that you sent us a list of 10 things that you love about Hatfield Township. So before I read those, unsolicited, Sandy put those, and they're a wonderful litany of great things that we do here in Hatfield that she's always been involved in. She's always attended, always been a great ambassador. And all of you who know her, you all know that you don't see her when she's not smiling, right? And always encouraging, always just full of support for not just the people of Hatfield Township, but the community at large. So when I saw the list, I said, you know what, this is exactly, I'm going to read the list because it is a reflection on her of the good things that we do, but the great people that we have. And she is, like I said, one of our ambassadors for many years, and we're not we're happy for the two of you to taking this next step in life, right? But we're disappointed that maybe you might not be at all of our events as you regularly are. So here's the list. Top 10 things that Sam, now I feel like David Letterman a little bit. So I'll start with, I should start with number 10, I guess, or is this in any particular order or not really?
Number 10 is probably.
Yeah, you know what, I'll save that one for last. That's a good point. I'll do it the other way. Number 1 is water aerobics and water walking in the aquatic center on summer mornings before the pool opened, which I always thought was cold, but I guess. Music feasts in School Road Park on summer evenings with awesome entertainment and Hatfield hot dogs, no doubt about it. The runs, especially the running of 5K Dash and Splash and the Fun Run, which I think you've probably been at every one of them and participated in almost every one of them. And it was fun to set up a water station on Rebecca Drive and cheer on runners. Yoga in School Road Park and the Arboretum and the goat yoga. You put who could forget that? I'm sure that probably is not forgetful at all. The brown bag leaf pickup, I'm assuming there's a pun in there. The brown bag leaf pickup in the fall and expert snow plowing in the winter. The beer summit, which many of us are supportive of, in our backyard during COVID. The phenomenal mural painting at the Aquatic Center wall. IT updates, support, and excellent website. The police officers, especially the one who rescued the fox from our neighbor's sling and the officer who found a missing girl during a game of hide and seek. And of course, Chief Tierney, who was unable to be here tonight just because of a family conflict, for jumping through the certification hoops and making us one of the best townships, police stations, police forces around. And an awesome township manager. And a friendly, knowledgeable, expert, helpful, and dedicated staff who really run the entire town. So it's kind of funny. This is a reflection on the township, but it's really a reflection on you, Sandy. And I want to say thank you on behalf of all the residents for all the things you've done for the supporter of our township for so many years, of our staff in particular. Just want to say thank you, and we have a little something for you. So I'm wondering if Scott is saying, okay, what is Zipfel going to say? Kind of hoping that he is. Aaron helped me and pulled out some notes from when we had your proclamation from your last meeting, and I've forgotten some of these facts. He's been a resident since 1976. This I, of course, remember. He was an educator for 35 years at Plymouth White Marsh School. Mathematics, it's one of the first things that he ever said to me when we met. I said, okay, I'm dealing with a math guy here. And for as long as we've known each other, I've always put that in the context of I can see how he logically thinks things through and how he has got that professorial approach to things, not just in conversation, but also in government, for sure. And so, I was struck by, I thought to myself, how do I articulate clearly enough his impact on Hatfield Township? So, served for 3 terms. Not many commissioners have done that. But a couple of things of particular note. First is, and I normally or never talk about political affiliations, I believe he was the first Democrat to win a position in maybe forever, but certainly in many, many years, which is a groundbreaking thing to do. Anytime that you break through a barrier like that, that's of significance and it should be recognized. And then immediately became a commissioner for all, which really was a great thing for all of us. And so at times like this, it's probably pretty easy for us, not just those of us here, but even for you, to say, okay, what's his greatest achievement? What's the greatest accomplishment during those 12 years? I read an article just recently that we had done about you, where you thought maybe your greatest achievement was the Aquatic Center, or maybe your commitment to open space, which Bob, I think, has taken your mantle, and that's going to be important. I make that note because it's important for you, because based on what I think is probably your greatest achievement. It's not a particular ordinance. It's not a structure. It's not a particular event. What I found when I first met you, and then for the 12 years that we worked together, and then since then, is that you were always our educator. And I think that's consistent with the work that you did for so many years with students. But there really, especially when I first became a commissioner, you sat me down and said, okay, here's some of the things we've done in the past. They've worked. Some of the things that we've done in the past that have failed. Some of the things that have been done even way before us, things that worked and didn't work, and the people associated with it. And you had kind of that historical background, but put it in a way of saying, how do we learn from that? How do we improve upon that? How do we make Hatfield better? And each time that we had those conversations, I felt like my teacher was showing me the way. So I think that your greatest legacy here, your greatest contribution, is that you left that for us. And it's our job now. And these jobs are transient. Commissioners are transient. We come and we go, and every 4 years or so it becomes somebody new, or maybe a couple of terms after that becomes somebody new. But the tone and presentation and the manner in which you govern is what really is what's left to the next generation. And I'll tell you, if your goal, and I suspect it was, is to leave for the next generation of commissioners the right way to do it, so that we turn around and share it with others so that they do it right and they pass it along, that's your greatest achievement. I think you absolutely succeeded. I want to thank you for that. So we do have a gift. I'm going to let our township manager share this with you. And hopefully this will be a little bit of your blast from your past.
Yeah, not sure where Checks in the mail. Checks in the mail. We put together all of Scott's pictures and the staff signed it. So you can keep this.
Want to say some words? Oh, wait, Deb's got to come.
That's a big reason that I'm even here tonight and able to speak to you guys. He encouraged me to run for commissioner, and without his encouragement and his support and his mentorship, I wouldn't be standing here tonight, so thank you very much for that. Besides being my mentor, then he became a really good friend and a very supportive friend. He always made himself available when or if I had any questions, and I'm grateful for his guidance, his support, and his friendship. And as a bonus for my connection to Scott, I got to get to know Sandy, and like Tom said, she's always smiling. I love that. And one of the memories of Sandy that I have that really stands out to me is her encouragement for me to run my first 5K last year. She's a veteran, as you heard, of the Township's 5K races, and she told me, you can do it, come on, you can do it. I was just standing there to help that day. Ashley's telling me, come on, you can do it. So without any prep, without any getting ready, luckily I had the right clothes on, I had my sneakers on, but with their encouragement, Sandy's encouragement, and her leading the way, I said, okay, I'll try it. And thankfully, she didn't leave me in the dust. So I thank you for that, and for all you've done for the township and the community, and that goes for both of you, all that you've done for everybody, and again, the township. And I hope that even though you've moved, that you'll continue to come back and support us and visit us and say hello, because we want to see you again. We don't want you to just go enjoy yourself in retirement. You got to come back and see us. So I wish you both the best and much happiness in this new phase of your life. Okay. And here's his card for you guys. That's from me.
Tom, that doesn't sound much like a roast. I was prepared to react to a roast, and as I can usually do, but these kinds of things really feel good. I appreciate my Rebecca Drive neighbors being here. That's special. So the one thing I'd say after 47 years in Hatfield to anybody that lives here or is thinking about coming here, invest in Hatfield. Invest in Hatfield. So 47 years ago, we bought a Charlie Seibel house. And Jerry, I know you appreciate money. You're the money man. And 10 years later, 47 years later, tenfold. Can you imagine that? Where else can you can't invest in gold and get tenfold back after 47 years? So I say a good investment was when Sandy and I decided to locate here. And when you get here, you get other returns other than the financial returns. You get image returns. Tom is an image guy. So what we did here, everybody else has a pool. Everybody has a pool, but what do we have? An aquatic center. A little better, a little bigger, and a statement that reverberates around the Delaware Valley. So we also have great trails, great rec programs, people that are interested in people. Deb Zimmerman has been special in that area, so I'd like to recognize her. So yes, I think you hit about, Tom, on some of the things that I remember most. My proudest day was when we cut the ribbon for the Aquatic Center. And that wasn't automatic, as everybody that was still here remembers. That wasn't a rubber stamp program. That took some hard work. Commissioner Landauer was involved in that, and Jerry was involved in that. But it wasn't like the overwhelming people from the community thought this was a great thing to do. They do now, after we're hiring 120 or 150 kids a year to and have a great program. Other things I remember, not way up the flagpole, but when we acquired the Kratz property, put in the Fricks Trail. We acquired the property, I can't remember the name now, Ken, for School Road Park, the barn and the farm and expanded School Road Park. And that was a certainly a highlight. So, good things. Heading out of town, I probably won't miss discussions about basins. I probably won't miss discussions about what we're going to do with Walnut Street. I won't miss those at all. But heading out of town, I'll know I can go two ways going out of town. I can drive up and come out on the cow path from Line Lexington, and there's a light there, coordinated light. Ooh. Or I could go the other way. I could go down and come out Lenhart, and guess what? There's a light there. I can safely get out of my neighborhood two ways. And of course, things like that just don't happen. So I can escape safely. One of my other best accomplishments that I'm proud of is I was there when we hired Aaron. So that was a big. It was rigged a little bit, Aaron, but we made it happen, and you've been great for the township. So I appreciate Tom, your leadership, and you could have said no when this came up. So I appreciate you being there for me. I appreciate what you had to say, Deb, Jerry, and Bob. I appreciate your participation in the township. Being a public servant is not always easy, and especially in these times when it's easy to criticize. People do it because they care. At some level, they care, and you want to make a difference, especially at the local level. So again, thank you, everybody, and invest in Hatfield.
Well said.
Hey, Scott, the roast begins now.
Oh, no, we're going to do photos. All right, the rest of the meeting, while it may be interesting, maybe not as exciting. We have 3 action items for this evening. So beyond our special recognition, not a big agenda, so we're going to jump right into our action items. First is a resolution 2305 with regard to the shade tree plant exchange on May 12th at 4:30 PM. Is there a motion for approval of that?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Zimmerman,
Second.
second by Commissioner Andrus. Aaron, do you have all 3 of these?
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. President, just briefly, a lot of these are housekeeping items. Number 3 is obviously more important. Other 2 as far as of substance, but the first item is just simply, it's a requirement. We're a tree city, and we have been for now 20-plus years, and Commissioner Zimmerman will promote this event more in the May workshop, but we also, the commission day and all of the events we have associated with it as.
Yep. All right. Any questions or comments? Well, did I didn't actually. No, I did. You did the first and you did the second. Okay. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I know. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. All right, okay, we're making fun of me. Short memory, I guess. All right, second action item. Is there a motion for approval of the 2 police vehicles at the purchased at the amount of $93,942 as budgeted?
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Rogers.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Andrus. Aaron, I know this is as budgeted, housekeeping item, best practice that we're articulating it when it actually takes place.
You nailed it.
I
Yeah, it's
nailed
just
that?
Separate from the list of bills because of the cost. But like you said, Mr. President, budgeted. Chief isn't here to talk about it. He's dealing with a personal loss, like you mentioned. Sergeant Boyd is here. I'm sure he appreciates the 2 new vehicles that were budgeted this year and purchased and will be our fleet sometime soon.
All right. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Last, is there a motion to advertise the ordinance for an authorization to install a stop sign at Rebecca Drive and Norman Avenue?
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Rogers.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zimmerman. Aaron, I think you've got this one as well.
Sure. I'd imagine this is of importance to several residents in the room, given that Scott's neighbors are out and there was an accident earlier in the week on Rebecca. This has been something that has been discussed for quite some time. We've heard from many of the residents urging the township to install these stop signs, and there is, fortunately, in government, things move a little slower than some would like. But we are at a point where we're moving forward with the installation of stop signs, and we hope to have that done soon.
So maybe we want to talk a little bit about the process for those who are unfamiliar as it relates. So tonight is a motion to authorize the ordinance. After that, what takes place?
We will advertise the ordinance. The board will then consider the ordinance at the next meeting, the workshop. We may be slightly more ambitious this time and have the sign out before the board approves it. We're trying to move quickly because of what happened this week, but officially the board will consider it in 2 weeks. Have to go through a process.
Got it. Anything?
I would just say that the sign cannot go up until the ordinance is passed.
All right, any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Okay. Relatively brief meeting after our special recognition. Is there any citizens' comments? Yes, sir. If you would, just go up to the podium, your name and address, please.
My name's Andrew Foley. I live on Rebecca Drive, 2 houses down from where the accident occurred this week, and I prepared a little comment. If you don't mind, I'd like to read it to you all. So my wife and I bought our house about 3 years ago. Well, 2018 is when we bought it. We have 2 children, a 5 and a 7-year-old, who play at the house where the car ran through the front window regularly. There are about 25 to 30 kids in that neighborhood who play on Norman and Rebecca Drive almost every day. They walk to school, they get on the bus. There are 3 or 4 bus stops in that area, and they utilize those roads either by their bikes or by their feet every day. When we first moved to Rebecca Drive, we were fresh off of living in New York City and Boston and Philadelphia and Washington, D.C., big cities where there's a lot of traffic and people don't obey the traffic signs. Our first night, second night there, we were struck by how obnoxious the drivers were that were coming down Norman and Rebecca. We have a dog, we walk it every day. We stopped playing in our front yard between the hours of 3 and 6 p.m. because people were going so fast down Rebecca Drive, it alarmed us, right? So it's clear to us that people are using that as a thoroughfare or whatever, cut through, whatever, to get from one side of town to the other to avoid traffic on 309, Cowpath, or whatever it might be. But what's more disappointing is that nothing seems to be done about the fact that they're speeding down that road. Nothing seems to be done about the fact that there's no stop sign, and I appreciate you guys are putting the ordinance in now. I understand that for 10 years there's been some question about can we put one in. The neighbor who had the car go through their front window, I don't know what process they have followed, but they've been asking for over 10 years for a stop sign. When we first moved in, we called several times to request a stop sign. To me, I don't think a stop sign on that northeast corner is enough. Given the amount of traffic that occurs between the hours of 3 and 6 p.m., at a minimum, there should be slow children at play signs at the corner of Roosevelt and Norman, and one at Miller Place and Rebecca Drive. That is where the bulk of the traffic bleeds off of either Line Lexington or Lenhart as they cut through. That may or may not prevent cars. I know the police vehicle that was parked there today certainly slowed a significant amount of traffic as it came around the corner from Norman to Rebecca. And so I think at a minimum, a traffic camera or a speed camera that flashes the speed that they're going may help. But I think a stop sign, and we're very appreciative that you guys are putting that in, and we appreciate you guys are going to try to make it put in as expeditiously as possible. But a stop sign to me is not enough. We don't see any speed limit signs in our neighborhood, particularly on Norman, where they're coming primarily from during rush hour in the evening time. And then the other point that I would make is that there's a dead end, I guess, off of Norman before you turn onto Rebecca, right next to the house that got the car through the window. I've only been there since 2018, and no less than 4 times have I seen cars fly through that in the evening hours, and right past the house. It's only 150 yards. I've heard them slam on their brakes. I've heard them twice run into the red fence that's there. It feels like a dereliction of duty to not at least have a dead end sign on that corner. People are constantly going through that. There are a lot of children that play in that area, and I think that those things would help. I think as stewards, that's the other point I would make, as stewards of our safety and our township, and we heard about how much Scott has done for our township, we put our trust in you guys to make sure that things are maintained and kept safe for us. And I think a stop sign is a good start, but I think those other additions that I mentioned probably would benefit us in that neighborhood at a minimum. And I understand there's a lot of allocation for other areas within the township, but at a minimum, a stop sign is going to slow things down. But the amount of traffic we get in the evening, the amount of high-speed traffic we get in the evening rush hour, I think we could benefit. At a minimum, the dead end sign, in addition to the stop sign. That's all I have.
Okay,
Thanks.
you. We
Appreciate
we really appreciate when people come out and give us some insight. Thank you. Any other citizens' comments? Yes, ma'am. If you would, your name and address, please.
Can I just follow up, Mr. President, on the request? We're happy to install all of the signs that you mentioned, sir. Not a problem at all. We'll look at the entire neighborhood and see where we can add them. All of what you suggested sounds reasonable and something we can do in the next few weeks. Sure, you can, on your way out, I have cards there. Feel free to email me, and I can keep you and your neighbors up to date as far as when things are ordered, when they'll be installed. But we Had similar town hall meetings recently with other neighborhoods and similar outcomes, and signs are not a hard thing for us to get and install. Happy to do that.
Heather Edwards. I live on 200 Norman Avenue. I agree with literally everything he said. I was shaking my head the whole time he was talking. My husband and I have lived in our house. It'll be 9 years in July. I have constantly called the non-emergency line, getting police to come out because I live right on the corner of Lenhart, Norman, so I'm at that four-way stop, luckily, but not at the same time because people use Norman to cut through, 100%. I have had police sit on the side of my house, and they know, the cars coming down the street know the police are there. So they slow down, and then they see the police officer, they go down Lenhart, but then the other ones who don't will go right through Lenhart, through Norman. I've had someone come up onto my yard because they fly around those corners so much. My children can't walk to the bus stop by themselves because people fly up and down the road. We don't even have sidewalks where my house is, so I have to walk them across the street and get to where the sidewalks are. Where they're talking about the intersection for the stop sign is my child's bus stop. So I've had 3 kids at the bus stop, and they now just get driven to school because we've had cars hop the curb going through the neighborhood. Again, it's been like 9 years. My kids are now going to be 13 and 10, and they're finally getting comfortable with getting on bikes and going on their own, but I'm still not comfortable with them doing that because I'm that neurotic mom going, well, you can't between 3 and 6, which is right after school, because people just use our neighborhood as a cut-through. So I appreciate everything you guys are doing. It sounds like it's definitely positive coming through. I just had to give it's been a little frustrating for the last couple of years because we do appreciate the police sitting there. We thank them. We give them water bottles. We do whatever we can. But it's very alarming to let our kids even play in the yard half the time. So.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Yes, sir.
My name is Glenny Bargwin, 232 West Orville Road. I'm trying to find out some information as far as a paper road, trying to take position. I know it's not on the agenda tonight. I've talked to Ken many times. We have a problem with the builder, last night pulled up on my neighbor's lawn. My wife was out there arguing with him. He's pretty belligerent. I said what she should have did is picked up the phone and called the police, He's under something. But that wasn't my main concern. I figured I'd throw that in there on the record. The other thing I have is I have 2 grandkids live in my house, and on Orville Road, 4 houses up from the church, I know they're trying to open that intersection. I know these guys do a good job, but they come flying through. There's 4 different buses that stop within 4 houses of my people in the morning. Just go past the buses with the red lights out. They almost hit my grandkids twice. And what I'm doing now is I stand out there and I wait for them. And it's usually the same couple of cars. I'm sure you guys know who they are. You recognize the cars, Tinted windows, Mazdas. I'll get license number. But the problem is people, they speed. They fly through there. There's no way to control them. The traffic backs up from Welsh Road, 4 houses up, past my house in the morning, because you can't get through that intersection. Now, when they're late, they go by there about 60 miles an hour. I don't know if there's any kind of camera we can put up there to grab their license number, like they do on the turnpike, send them a ticket. It's dangerous. And I don't know what else to do. So I forgot to throw that up. These guys are aware. They've been at my house more than I probably had since I've been there 88. There's probably been 9 accidents where the cars, where the road dips, have ended up either on my front lawn or on 222 Wendy's house right next door. And that's the problem I'm having with the paper road, because they want to put a drive out right in the middle of that. So But the traffic concern is more important right now.
Sir, just for clarification, you're on the portion of Orvilla close to Welsh near when you say church, Plains Mennonite, is that the one you're next to?
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes, I'm at
understand.
232.
Across from Park Avenue, roughly?
Yes, you go up there and we're the fourth house, and then they have the original farmhouses next to me. The Wendy's is the other one. What happens is, there's actually, where the original house is in front of my house, it dips down and goes, and they come flying, and in the wintertime, mostly in the wintertime with the snow, they hit that thing, and they've already taken out an oak tree the first year I moved there. I've had bushes I had to take out. I mean, and I don't expect them to fix the road, but it's a situation, that.
Okay. No, we'll be happy to meet with Sergeant Boyd and his team, but as you referenced too, the township's in the process of adding.
No, what happened is they're trying to do a land development 8 acres behind me to build houses.
Understood. I just wanted to discuss we're going through the process of fixing that intersection. So while we're in the design phase right now of adding turn lanes,
Right.
so we'll ask our traffic engineers as they're redesigning that if there's anything they can do to maybe address some of the speeding and putting some type of calming.
and it's crazy, and I should have gotten the tag numbers. I mean, they leave about 8:15. I'm usually having coffee, getting ready to take my dogs out. Okay, but my grandkids they're standing out there, and a couple of times the bus was there with the red sign out, and then you hear the horn go, and you see the car just rip right past them.
Yeah, just a few
Crazy.
last points on that. North Bend School District just recently equipped all the buses with cameras along the the stop bars, so when cars do go around them, there's now video footage of them doing that.
Oh, okay.
So that I would imagine.
Well, that's a great
help.
idea.
And then just secondly, keep in mind too, Pennsylvania is the only state in the country that does not allow our police officers to have radar for speeding. So we are very limited in how we can enforce speeding in our town.
Yeah, I didn't know how that worked. I mean, you see it on the turnpike, and you see it.
Yeah, we're not allowed to do that.
Okay. All
But,
right.
but we're happy to we can put a speed meter up on Orvilla, and we've done it before, and it produces a study, it allows us to see the speeding, and it helps slow down cars. So we can do that.
I understand that. I have a special ed sister who lives in Visitation, which is a Catholic for older handicapped people, and they have a sign that says slow down, handicap 30 minutes, and people still blow by 60 miles. And that's Jersey, but has nothing to do with here. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Weisenbach, 2255 Roosevelt Boulevard. For 13 and a half years, I lived at 2255 Roosevelt Boulevard, which is the corner of Norman Ave and Rebecca Ave and Roosevelt. Essentially, this intersection is in the middle of what we call the Norman Ave drag strip. We refer to it as a drag strip because other than the stop sign at Mrs. Edwards' end by Lenhart, there are no other stop signs nor calming devices on that entire stretch of Norman. We also refer to it as a drag strip because 2 cars lined up side by side just a few years back and drag raced down that road. This intersection is the location of at least 5 bus stops where children are getting on and off the bus. I've seen numerous times over the years where cars almost hit parents crossing the road with their children because they're speeding as they come from the dead end side of the Norman, which was the incident of the accident a couple days ago. 1.5 years ago, a driver who admitted that he was cutting through our neighborhood to get to work was hit by another car, causing his vehicle to spin around, hop the curb, landing on the corner where at least 15 Culp elementary school students and their parents were sitting not even an hour before. Like my neighbors, I have filed complaints and begged for calming devices for several years. My husband and I do not feel safe to allow our children anywhere near the street during those hours, or in fact, not really even at all. We've actually considered moving out of Hatfield because nothing was being done. While it is unfortunate that some scary incidents had to occur to make this happen, we are glad that finally there's progress being made to get the stop signs and the calming of the traffic in our neighborhood. We hope that down the road, you'll consider speed bumps throughout the neighborhood as well, because there is also a turn around one of our neighbors who's here who hasn't spoken. But coming off of Line Lexington, when you're coming through to get to Norman to cut through the neighborhood, it's a fast turn. And I was going towards Line Lexington a few weeks ago, and someone was coming up and around that blind spot almost hit me head on. Aaron, I know we shared some emails, and I did see the cones out there at my intersection, which is the middle of that drag strip. But the incident that happened a couple days ago at the Smith's house was actually where the dead end is, which is where Mr. Foley was referring to. So are we doing stop signs at both the middle intersection as well as by the dead end, or just the middle intersection?
Action tonight is just at the one intersection, but if you feel, and the residents feel like it's needed at both, we'll be happy to look at it.
I think the Rebecca Drive neighbors assumed it would be by the dead end where the accident occurred, the car through the house. But I know what I was following up was, I mean, the speed, they're at their top speed by my house. I've screamed, hey, slow down. My husband has, hey, with our kids. People flip us off. I've had somebody tail me, and when I yelled, it's 25 miles an hour, they said, F you, out their window at me. So people just don't care. We need the stop signs at both. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, good feedback. Anyone else? No? Okay, any of you, all of you are welcome to reach out to, to the staff here or to your commissioner and get an update and get a status. And call the main number if that's probably easiest. And then the commissioners are not we're not regular employees here, but the staff does such a wonderful job. I know that if you reach out for them, they'll be very communicative. So if you have any questions, you can do that. And we greatly appreciate, we like it when people come to meetings, so we appreciate your coming out. All right, anything else? I think the answer is no. And I think I'd be foolish if I did anything other than adjourn the meeting right now. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn quickly before we get told to step out of the room.
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Rogers, second by Commissioner Andrus. Any questions any questions or comments? Otherwise, we will adjourn. Hearing none, I'll call the question. Should we adjourn? Yes. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Thank you for coming out, folks. Greatly appreciate it.